Hey folks, Kiltman here, Kiltman at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, The First Omen. Yes, I've seen it. And this review is going to be full of spoilers. I'm telling you right now. I'm setting my stall out right here, right now. Spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film yet, come back later after you've seen it and then watch this video. Or just, if you don't care, just watch the video anyway. But yeah, be warned. Here they be spoilers. Many of them. Now, The First Omen, a direct prequel to Richard Donner's classic masterpiece of occult terror, The Omen. Now, when this first got touted, you guys who watched my videos know I was like, what? Can they not stop messing with the classics? They've got to do a remake, a reboot, a sequel, all that stuff. But no, we're doing a prequel to it. What? And then I thought, well, there is a backstory here about this dark brotherhood of priests and nuns who are bringing in the Antichrist and are going to swap out, they're going to kill a newborn child for Ambassador Thorn Gregory Peck and substitute the Antichrist in baby form. Take this one instead, take this. You'll love it, it'll be great. Don't worry about a thing. And then we know what happens. Damien grows up, kills everybody around him who suspects nefarious dealings and Dering's doom, I should say. And he goes on to power, and then the Nazarene comes back, second coming, and he gets wiped out in a pillar of light, let's just call it that, in a real damp whimper of a finale to an otherwise great trilogy of movies, which I truly, truly adore. But the first one is a masterpiece. Donner crafted a superb, big budget, A-list horror movie, which you didn't get a lot of at the time in the 70s, but this was a spearhead. After The Exorcist, the devil was really, really big in the 70s, and definitely The Omen is right up there at the top of that pillar. And so yeah, a prequel. The more I saw trailers and TV spots and the more posters that crept out, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm seeing some kind of tone and style here, which I didn't think they'd be going for, and I'm intrigued. And then, of course, as you guys know, I did a video, literally the video prior to this one was reviewing the score for this new movie from Mark Corvin. You're hearing the score right now. And I love the score. Well, at the same sort of time, two people I knew in America, in LA, in Hollywood, had seen a preview. Probably the same time, actually, same preview. But both had differing sort of viewpoints to begin with, but both agreed that they loved the movie. And they let me know some details. And I trust their opinions. I don't always agree with them, but I do trust their opinions. And I thought, this is going to work. Wow, I'm looking forward to this. And you guys who saw the previous video know just how hyped I was getting. I'd done the same thing for Halloween Kills a few years before. Serious egg on my face with that one. But I was doing the same thing again. So I did my video yesterday on the score, got myself all excited, drank a little bit of whiskey, and hurried myself down to our local cinema, the Light Cinema down in New Brighton. And I was one of 4 people in the screening. One of the biggest screens there. There was me, right smack bang centre, and there was a couple together, and then there was another person somewhere over there. But I was in prime position. And the film, it's in the 1:85:1 ratio, so it's filling the screen. You know, you're not going from side to side, you're looking up and down, and it's beautiful. The film is captivating to watch. The palette, the photography, the lighting, everything is very 70s. Even the actual font for the titles is done the exact same way as the Omen movies as well. So, nice one there. And I enjoyed this 2-hour movie. People who said it's dead slow. It's not slow, it's nicely measured. It's nicely calculated. The pace I found was not sluggish at all. Lots of things happen, whether it's visions, hallucinations, genuine stuff happening, and conversations, plot unravelings and revelations taking place, no pun intended there. I was transfixed constantly, and I really enjoyed it. And I came out of the cinema, and had some more whiskey, and it's lucky I did not do my immediate reaction video to it, which I was going to do, because it would have been OTT fawning over it and like, oh, it's the best movie for a long time, it's wonderful, it's this, it's that, it's a worthy prequel, it sits right handsomely alongside the original trilogy. Lucky I didn't do that, because there'd have been yet more egg on my face. Now, I did write a sort of bullet point, non-spoilery review on social media and on a few other websites. And I still stand by what I said in most of that. But now I've slept on it and I'm able to have ruminated on it and digested it a lot more. I have to say that it's not as good as I first thought. I love it. Do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I can't wait to get this on Blu-ray, UHD, whatever. I can't wait to see it again. Although I will not be rushing back to the cinema to see it again. Did I just say I can't wait to see it again? But yeah, do you know what I mean? I want to see it again, but I'm not running down the road again to go and sit through it at the flicks again. Not right now, anyway. So my initial enthusiasm and excitement has waned somewhat. And it's because of three things. Three very fundamental things, which I'm afraid to say to you right now, as good as this film is, and it is a handsomely mounted horror, extreme body horror and tonally really disturbing, a lot of issues in this, it's great. I don't want to use the term entertainment because there's a lot of things in this which you don't normally find entertaining, like horrific births and demonic offsprings and embryonic fluids, and there's a lot of things in this which it's not exactly come under the banner of family entertainment. But I had a great time with it. But the three things are fundamental, and they are errors. And they are errors in the writing of this and the entire concept and premise of this particular movie. And I'm afraid the pivotal thing is, well, it's a prequel. It seeks directly into the original Richard Donner movie. It does, but it completely ruins the continuity of all the three movies of the original Omen trilogy. And I'm going to discuss the 3 points. So there's your huge spoilers there. But yeah, and the thing about it is, they didn't need to have done that. They changed three things. One of which I knew about for definite. Another I suspected a lot. But the other one is just why? It's ludicrous. Now, you've got a lot of reviewers out there who are really singing its praises right now and giving it very high marks. I mean, I'm not one for giving marks out of 10. I just don't really. It's all very subjective, and I just don't agree with it. What did I give it yesterday? I was going to give it a strong 8 out of 10. Now, I'm dropping that down to a 7. Oh, that's only 1 point, Kiltman. Yeah, because the film itself stands alone as a good horror movie, a good religious horror movie, or anti-religious horror movie, to be perfectly honest. And great characters, great performances, great score, great scenes, great tone, great sense of unease and ominous dread and melancholy. It's all there, and if you like that, which we do, it's great. It's the ace of spades. But if you like the original trilogy as much as I do, you're going to want this to fit in, and frankly, it doesn't. It doesn't fit in. Oh yes, they may finally have the Antichrist, and they pass it on to Gregory Peck. Well, they don't do it quite the way that I envisaged. Remember I was saying, I'd love to see they're in the hospital and there's a shadowy figure in silhouette, which will be Ambassador Robert Thorne, will be down the end of the corridor, and you're going to have the priest coming down to tell him, well, we've got another idea for you. Come this way. It's a bambino for you. You just lost one, but now you gained one. And that would have been great. You don't get that. You get a photograph of Gregory Peck, because they've got a file. Maybe this guy would be the best one to be, to look after the Antichrist, and then they're going to give him a name, Damien, isn't it? But you do get that, and it's nice enough. But I'm afraid those three flaws derail what happens in the original 3 movies. So if you want to sit and watch this and do the whole lot, it's not going to work. You're going to be like that, but didn't, and when you, but why did, what? It doesn't make any sense. So okay, right, come on. It's going to be meandering this. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go through it scene by scene as I would tend to do. I've only seen the movie once, and there's probably bits I haven't picked up on, and sort of connections and relevances which I have. Has it gone really dark in here? It has, hasn't it? Do you know why? There's a killer storm at the moment, appropriately enough. We're about to go into a solar eclipse in the next couple of days. There is a killer storm. Storm Kathleen is hitting the UK right now, and we've been buffeted with it. So it's dead sunny, but the clouds are going whoosh, at high speed. So it goes dark all of a sudden. The clouds are obscuring the sun. And there's been a few recent births. So the prophecy is coming true. And let's be honest, there's a fair bit of trouble in Zion, is there not? So, anyway, back to the story. Arcacia Stevenson directs this and co-wrote it. I think it's her first actual feature-length full cinematic movie, theatrical release, and does a bang-up job with it, to be honest. Perfectly brilliant, very capable. And we have a young nun, a novitiate. She's about to enter, the nunneries and all that, and take her vows to the big fella upstairs and all that. And she goes to Italy. She's an American. She's played by Nell Tiger. What's her name? Nell Tiger Free. Brilliant name, that, isn't it? And she plays Margaret Dano. And she arrives there, and straight away the Cardinal Lawrence, played by Bill Nighy, who knows her since she was a little bambino. Alarm bells should be ringing right now, especially when he says to her, like, "Ma, you've grown. You're a woman now. You're a man of the cloth. You shouldn't even notice things like that." But and she's going to work in an orphanage there, and there's a lot of the clergy are there. It's run by nuns. Nuns, drink, feck, arse, nuns. Yeah, Father Jack, but you wouldn't see him for dust. Some of these nuns, they're having a bifter and they're on trampolines. There's even a lesbian kiss in it as well. And our young one, she moves in with another novitiate. I'm going to get this term wrong. They're about to take their vows, but this is a Clubbic girl. Now, Margaret is not a Clubbic girl, but she's under the wing of this other nun-to-be. And, come on, we're going to give our lives, pledge our lives to God, but, and she's kind of like undresses our heroine, and you've got a body there. Use it. This is your last chance. So let's go out. So they do. They go out, and it's a long sequence, to be honest. Yeah, this Clubbic scene, and she begins to unburden herself, Margaret, and shake off the shackles and have a bit of fun. And she meets Paolo, and they seemingly get it on, and then she kind of blacks out. But she'll wake up the next day in her bed, and I think a little spider runs across her face. Ooh, an ominous foreshadowing there of creepy weirdness. But she can't remember a damn thing about what happened the night before. But anyway, everything's okay. And she's met Sister Sister Sylvia, played by Sonia Braga, who's wonderful. Who's a bit severe, but also she's friendly but severe with certain of the orphans, namely Carlita, played by Nicole Soras. Nicole Soras. What have the nuns been doing? But Carlita Scianna, and she's kind of secluded. They keep her in the bad room because she's often naughty. And she's bitten another orphan, and but she draws pictures, and our girl is kind of drawn straight away when she arrives there. She's drawn to this young girl, drawn to her drawings because this girl scribbles a lot, and she scribbles kind of disturbing pictures of nuns dragging people away, nuns surrounding someone who you can see the insides of, and there's a baby on the inside. Very, specific drawings these are. So our girl gets a bit of a sort of compassion and a bond with this girl. She tells her, look, I was treated the same, because she knows that poor Collie has been mistreated and often locked away, and she's not allowed to have contact with the other girls, the other orphans, and so she's like, I had an upbringing a bit like that. And Collie says, like, did they beat you? She goes, well, they didn't beat me, but I was isolated and shunned. So there's a bit of kindred spirit going on here. And as I say, the performances are great, they're wonderful. Got no issues with any of those at all. So the bond is there, but she begins to realise there's a lot more taking place here. This is spurred on, of course, by the arrival of Father Brennan. Yes, Father Brennan from The Omen, played by Patrick Troughton, one of my favourite characters of all time. Brilliant! And he warns Ambassador Thorne about what happened, and he was involved in it. Remember that. And he gets killed during a killer storm. He gets impaled by the weather vane from the top of a church spire. And he's dead. Now, in this film, he's played by Ralph Ineson. Is it Ineson? He was also in The Witch and many other movies. And he puts on an Irish accent for this. Isn't that scary, honestly? But he will accidentally, by chance, on purpose, meet Margaret on the steps of some great Roman edifice and introduce himself and tell her, look, don't trust anybody at that orphanage. Don't trust any nun. Don't trust any priest. Don't trust anybody. They're watching you, and there's something going on. Please come and see me, and I'll explain more. He puts the fear of God into her, but she does remember this, because things will spiral out of control. A lot more things will happen. Sister Abigail, is it Abigail? Well, I think it is. I didn't write it down actually. Who was the one that all the kids are out, all the orphans are out. This is the scene where you got nuns on a trampoline smoking as well. Actually, it's great. It's great to see. They're having fun. They're very eccentric. What do you call a bunch of nuns? What would that be? You get a murder of crows. A shunnery of nuns. I don't know. A shunnering of nuns. That would be it, wouldn't it? There's a film for you. The Shunnering. And she sees that this Sister Abigail, who's a bit sort of loopy-loo, is talking with Carlita, and they've got a picture going there. And when Margaret joins them, Abigail plants a big smacker on her lips, and I think she even licks her face as well. And you kind of oh, we're getting some lesbo nun action as well. Well, okay, bring it on. No, that doesn't last long. As Margaret's talking to Carlita, suddenly up above, they're in a courtyard, but suddenly on a balcony, out comes Sister Abigail and says, "It's all for you." Remember that from The Omen, where the first nanny during Damien's big party, and they're all out in the garden and all that. It's clowns and all sorts of people there, and dignitaries, and the nanny comes out with a noose around her neck. "Damien, it's all for you," and then leaps off, snaps down, breaks her neck, and swings back through a window, eliciting enormous, famously great screams from the onlookers. And it's a horrifying sequence. It's mimicked here, and "It's all for you," says Sister Abigail, not saying exactly who it's all for, but it's all for you, us, the audience maybe. Who then she's doused herself in petrol or some kind of ignition thing, and sets herself ablaze. But she's got a noose around her neck and leaps off, a ball of fire, swings down, smashes through the window. I will say right now that in a film which has some great prosthetic effects and some really good visuals, this is lousy. the CG flames are absolutely really badly appalling. To the point where it took me out of the film. I thought, oh, I was sitting there watching, it goes on for a while, this, which you think would be really horrible, but you just go like, those flames look really, really naff. That's pure Tom and Jerry cartoon flames. Nothing vivid or realistic about that at all. But it's a horrible sequence regardless, and it's a suicide sequence. But what drove to do that? I'm not sure. I don't think you find out what drove to do that. But anyway, stuff happens. More stuff. Visions, hallucinations, stuff. A riot takes place because during this particular time in the mid-70s, it's set just before the events of the Omen, obviously, you had a lot of urban strife to Italy, France, Germany, even in the UK. Strikes, riots, counterculture, human rights activism, terrorism was on the rise worldwide, but essentially around Europe. A lot of terrorism was taking place, a lot of distrust of governments. The youth was very disenfranchised. So the film has that as a backdrop, and yeah, that's fine. However, that will be used in a rather clumsy, cack-handed way. But you do have a riot takes place. Margaret, the nuns, and I think his name's Father Gabriel, who's could be a good guy, could be a bad guy, could be a confidant, could be a treacherous betrayer. Well, you don't know. They all go out to a museum for this little trip, and a riot takes place while they're out there. And it's filmed in a kind of very highly stylized fashion, but you do get like hippie types who are sort of taunting the poor orphans and the nuns. I didn't like that at all. But under riots, it's a terrifying thing. I've been in three riots. Remind me to tell you about them. I was policing two of them, and the third riot itself was caused by me and, we didn't cause it, but the riot took place because of our presence. It's going back, it's military, it's nothing to do with this movie. But I was reminded of that when the riot scene took place. And I did think to myself, you've got to get these people out of it. How do you get out of it? And I was remembering all the things you have to do. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent there. Cheers, y'all. But more things happen, and more memories, more hallucinations, more weirdness. Margaret will witness a horrific childbirth. I say childbirth, it's not a child that comes out of that bit there, which you see, and what you do see. And this is a bit daft, because if it's meant to be clandestine what's taking place, how is it this birth operation is procedures taking place with all these windows, and Margaret's just walking past and sees it all, and sees the poor girl screaming, and then they inject it, and she begins, it's not exactly gas and air, but they inject it, and her head just turns around and she stares at our girl. But we see the bit crafty camera work. This sequence caused a fair bit of trouble with the MPAA in America, and they had to go back and forth and cut. And they have said, well, I think Arcacia Stevens has said, like, well, what ended up happening was we cut so much out of it, but what was left had more impact. Hear that a lot, with gory scenes in movies. And I'll relate The Evil Dead to you again. In the UK, The Evil Dead was alarming. The Evil Dead was cut down theatrically. We finally got it uncut. Of course, yours truly got an uncut copy from America, courtesy of my good friend Ramsey Campbell, the author Ramsey Campbell. Yes, name dropping again, hey Kilty. But the cut down version was great. It was gory, it was outlandish, and it got banned. It was the figurehead of the video nasty list. Of course it was, along with a lot of non-exploitation movies as well. But when I finally got to see the uncut version, because each single scene of gore went on for longer and longer, it just become diluted. It lacked the impact. So this is what I'm saying. When they hacked back this sequence, they realised that what was left was actually more impactful than the full version. It's clever, and that's what filmmakers need to realise. We all love our gore. We all love, prosthetic effects and animatronic effects, splashy gore and stretchy latex. We all love that. But sometimes less is more. And in this case, it definitely seemed to work. You see a big, horrible, clawed, taloned hand come out. Think Prince of Darkness with the hand coming out the mirror, you know, the devil's hand. Think that coming out of it, you know, a lady's whoo, you know, and yeah, not good. So our girl witnesses that and fucking blacks out again. I think she blacks out about 3 or 4 times in this movie. And so a lot of strange things happening. She realises, look, I've got to go. Who's that priest again? Father Brennan. He gave me his address. Right, off she goes. Comes into his place, and behind it, puts all the locks on the door and all that. Like, you'd be like, uh-oh, what have I done here? And he explains there's something going on with the church and their involvement with this orphanage. What are they doing? At the start of the movie, the very start, you have a bit with Charles Dance. Yeah, his name appears in the credits and all that. And before the film came out, everyone's going, oh, Charles Dance is in it. Who does he play? He plays Father Harris, and he lasts about 3 minutes, right at the very start of the movie. And it's actually a letdown of a sequence again, because they're at church. This is before Margaret arrives in Rome. I do love these wailing, spooky, witchy voices, like fantastic stuff. And you've got Father Brennan on church steps. Charles Dance's father, Harris, walks out. And he said, like, Father, but what about the girl? Oh, yeah, she was born deformed. Well, I think they talk about a photograph. But up above this church, you've got like a big stained glass window, and there's ware keys there. And I must admit, this is the opening of the movie, and I was like, oh yes, we're gonna get a typical Omen-style death sequence, a kill with fate involved with it. Things going wrong, a ladder going over, you know, a paintbrush in the eye, you know, whatever. It's going to be something like that. And it is, but it's a big, big letdown. You've got a priest standing there. You've got a church spire. You've got glass fractures and comes down in a slow motion cascade of scintillating colours. And it's beautiful to observe. And I thought, it's going to get cut in half. It's going to be, or it'll be a Patrick Troughton, Father Brennan style homage. There'll be a spire going through. And then it all hits the deck, and Father Brennan's saying, you know, Father Harris, are you all right? And Charles Dance just smiles. And then I thought, oh, he's going to split in half. Oh, like that. No. He turns around, and we see a rather overtly vaginal slit in the back of his head, where something's slid through. And he even walks off. I was reminded of Dan Hedaya in Alien Resurrection, where an alien's got in the back of his head, and he stands there, dumbfounded. I've got an itch on the back of my head. Oh, that's a bit of a fucking lamp. Cool, blimey, Gavner, there's me fucking brain. But he just walks, and I'm like, oh, what? And then it sort of dissolves out of that. But I thought, yeah, it's an unusual effect. You know, but it's still not. I wanted his head to come off or him to be impaled. Didn't happen. I think that could have been a real jolting opening, but it kind of fell flat a little bit. Anyway, so they realised, look, there's something going on. So I needed to go and get the files on that girl Carlita Scianna. What's her name again? Scianna. Get the files on her. They're hidden away, but go get them. In the meantime, her mate, the one who took her clubbing, she takes her vows, and they put the, whatever the nun's habit goes on, and all of the bits on the head, and they fucking pull it down, like, and she's like, fucking eyes are bugging out. And they do, I don't know what nuns go through when they get ordained, or whatever the hell they call it. And she lies on the floor, and all the other nuns join it, and the camera rises up, and I thought, this is going to be some kind of symbolism here. It wasn't. Well, it wasn't any symbolism that I recognised. I'm not saying that it wasn't there, and it is a beautifully arty kind of shot. And it's a very unusual ceremony. If that's what happens, it's a bit, I don't know why they do that. But anyway, now, because she's asking questions and she's been associating with the girl that they're keeping shunned, Carlita, Sister Sylvia, Sonia Braga, has been like having a go at our girl. So like, you're not taking your vows. Yeah, fuck you. You know, you're not nun material. You go off. But Argyle is there. She's present while her roommate is taking the vows and all that. And she sees that, like, they're all busy here, all the nuns, all the priesty people, they're all there. It's all big hoo-ha. I'll run down to the basement and I'm going to find these files. And she does. And in one of several, in fact, there's a lot of Dario Argento nods and winks, which I knew was coming up because this film, I said way before, even when the first trailers came out, I was going, from the synopsis, this reminds me of Suspiria. And I've been banging on about that, and it definitely, there's a lot of Suspiria in this movie. But not just Suspiria, other references to other Argento movies, Giallos and that, like. In particular, clues. Now hang on, I've got to find, there's a key here somewhere, and the key, well, look at that wall. That's not, that mosaic's not quite aligned. Maybe that's a doorway. Hidden doorways, hidden passageways, essentially, which I'll come on to, but people saying things which are only half remembered or even only half heard, which later on, it'll suddenly come back and it'll be a clue, which, you know, you need to unravel the huge mystery, which is what Argento was a master at doing, and Bava before him as well. But it's brilliant stuff, and it's employed here. So she finds the key, and she's, oh, that doesn't match up. And she's into a crypt full of, well, it's a churchy office crypt full of files, and she finds the files on Skiana. They're all listed as Skiana 666. Gets them back. And she tries, I'm not sure if this is the sequence where she tries to also get Carlita away, and they almost make it, but the nuns ambush them. Can you imagine being ambushed by what do we call it? A shunnering of nuns. Being ambushed by a shunnering of nuns. They get it, and so they wrestle Carlita away from her, and she gets locked in this room. But Father Gabriel, later on that day, unlocks her, lets her out, and she's either still got, someone's going to correct me on this, either she's still got the files, or Father Gabriel rescued them and gives it to him. But either way, they go back to Father Brennan and they start going through the files, and they realise that what's been going on is the church has been somehow or other impregnating various orphans and possibly even nuns for a long time. And all of these babies that are born, well, clearly they want a boy, but everything's been born deformed. They haven't lasted, but they've all got tattoos on them, tattoos, birthmarks, 666, you know, on the head. And well, it's under the name of Carlita Skiana, so but they're keeping her. Brennan has said to Margaret initially, you know, stay away from that girl, you know, she's the Antichrist, something like that anyway. And a bit of a giveaway that, isn't it? Although it's not. And during the nun ambush, you see Carlita screams and her mouth goes back, and Margaret sees on the roof of her mouth 666 on the inside of her mouth. And but she says, like, well, they kind of work out, but one of these, she hasn't got all the other babies that were born. This is probably getting that confusing now. All the other babies that were born had 666 on their head, except for this one. This one hasn't got 666. Sorry, yeah. Hang on. I'm trying to work out the order of the photographs, because there are quite a few of them, all horrible babies and all that, like, and because she hasn't got, it's not on her head. So the baby that there must there's a picture of a baby, and they go, well, that's survived, that's not deformed, and it's got 666 on its head, but that can't be Carlita because it's not on her head, it's in her mouth. And then Argyle realizes, shit, it's me, isn't it? I'm the girl that survived. I'm the baby that grew up. And of course, they find 666 is on her head. So, but what's the game? Why are they doing this? Well, you know why they're doing it. Well, you know what they're doing it. You know what they're doing, but this film will tell you why they're doing it. And therein lies one of my fundamental reasons why this film doesn't work with the rest of the movies And it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Cheers, Joel. We'll come on to that. So, now armed with this knowledge, and like they realize 666. She remembers all the shit that's happened, and there's a bit where they meet Paolo again. Paolo's the guy that she got off with in the disco. The disco, yay! Probably playing Waterloo at the time or something like that. And obviously he bedded her, or so she thinks. And but when they're driving away, going back to the Father Brennan's, she sees Paolo on the street corner. She goes, stop the car. And she runs after him, and he's shocked to see her. She goes, Paolo, what? And this is the Dario Argento moment, one of the better Dario Argento moments. He's pointing to his own head, meaning head, but he's meaning hair, and he says birthmark, and as she's going, what are you saying? And he backs into the street, and of course, everybody can see this coming, except for Paolo, obviously. Bang! Fucking truck hits him, fucking plows him into a wall. Oh Christ! It was very Final Destination, very The Orphanage. The Orphanage, wonderful film, by the way, wonderful film now. But a shock, car accident, car impact on human flesh, and he's been rammed against the wall, and she goes over to him. Now, you have to be a fool not to realise what was going to happen here as well, because I don't think any suspense was built up about this. And she's trying to talk to him, and it's mashed him against there. And it's one of those things from the film Signs. Mel Gibson's wife in Signs gets impaled to a tree. In part, they can't pull the car away because it'll kill her. So she's going to die anyway, but at least you can see her, have your final words with it before we let her go. And it's what a horrible, and a truly horrible scenario to be involved in. And for all parties, and but she's there, and she's trying to talk to him, and she embraces him, and then you see the camera, she's embracing him, and she moves away, and you just go, oh no, and yeah, it's just the top half of his body. You can imagine Quint, upended, well, bobbed up and down like a kind of top. Well, he'd been bitten in half below the waist, She just walks off with this, and you go, oh no. And she puts him on the deck, and it's horrible. And you do see, it's kind of tastefully shot. I don't think the film is that good. A lot of people have been going about, it's the gory Omen. No, it's unpleasant. A lot of it's thematic quality. What's actually happening? Birthing stuff with demons coming out of fandangos. That's pretty horrific. But you see him on the deck, and his guts have spilled out and all that, and you kind of and the camera sort of pans away, and oh dear God. But so right, he was saying about the fucking birthmark, and that's where they look. So then she blacks out again, but has the visions of what happened to her that night, and yeah, he was there, but he weren't doing the deed. Somebody else was doing the deed, weren't they? Yes, yeah. Old Lucifer, in the guise of what we'll come on to later. Oh dearie me. She's like, so I'm pregnant. So I am one of their projects. I'm pregnant now. I want this out of me. What the hell is in me? I want an abortion right now. So they try to drive away and sort this out, but someone's tailing them, and they realise this, and they manage to, well, it's not exactly Jason Bourne, but they run the lights or whatever, and turn left here, or whatever happens, and they think they've got away with it, and they get fucking, side blinded or blindsided. That's it, not side blinded. Oh God. And car overturns, and they're unconscious, but Argyle manages to get out, and in a really a body contorting, shocking scene that goes on for quite some time. In fact, perhaps a little bit too long, really. She walks up these ornate steps, the car's overturning, there's fucking steam coming everywhere. And there's definitely people around her who are not on her side, let's be honest. They did it, and they're waiting for her. And she does all this jerky stuff, body's twitching, and it goes on for ages, this scene. To the point where I was thinking like, oh, come on now, you should have cut away here. It's now getting a bit funny. But then her waters break as well. And then you guessed it, she blacks out again on the deck. And there's all, is it amniotic fluid? Embryonic? Well, I don't know what it's called. Wet stuff anyway. And there's a pool of blood as well. Ugh, it's all icky bits from that region. You don't want to get involved in that, do you? So then she comes to, and she's on a gurney. Yeah, that's for English people. That is a stretcher, you know. And there's Bill Nighy there again, and he's, you know, don't worry, Margaret. You won't be any pain. No one's going to hurt you. I'm here with you. I've been planning this for years. What? So you behind it? Well, no fucking shit, Sherlock. You know, it was dead bloody obvious. And he now explains what's happening, why they're doing it. He says, and you will, I just sat there. I let it go at the time, but I was thinking, are you fucking kidding me? The whole reason why they're bringing the Antichrist into the world, this is the Catholic Church bringing the Antichrist into the world. It's because, remember I mentioned all the rioters and all the urban strife and counterculture chaos taking place? Everyone's turned against the church now. We have no flock anymore. They've got the flock out of here. We need to put fear back into the people so they come back to the church. So to do that, you're going to bring your arch enemy into the world. Great tactic, that. Great fucking tactic, that one. I will talk more about this. Let's just get the plot out the way. So, and she's like, what? But don't worry, you won't be hurt. You'll be fine. I'm going to look after you. This is your purpose, because she's the one baby that survived. And of course, just to make it a little bit seedier and nastier, the devil is screwing one of his own kids, because she's one of his children. So he's going to shag his own child to bring out the Antichrist. Okay. There must be some kind of rule book about this, you know. How do you know? Well, it's got to be that. It's got to be, got to have the, as if. And but they take her into an operating theatre, which I weren't sure when this was. I thought it was in the bowels of the orphanage. It could be in the church. I'm not entirely sure where it is, to be honest. But we're not going to hurt you. And everyone's there. Picture, you know, the great film Horror Hotel or City of the Dead. I've reviewed it, old black and white 60s movie with Christopher Lee. Oh, it's fantastic. But all devil worshippers, they're all cowled and all that, and they're all stood around a great big witch's coven of all these devil worshipping twats. Well, they're all there, they're all around her, and she's there, and she's restrained, and she's seen this happen to another girl, so she knows what's going to happen here. They're going to slice her open, or it's just going to come out of her anyway. And they unveil all these medieval fucking tools of, you know, flesh manipulation, pliers, screwdrivers, scalpels, knives, axes, Molotov cocktail, and flame. Everything's there. Fucking everything there. Some false teeth, and they do slice into her, and she gives birth to. And this was meant to be a revelation here. Again, no pun intended. Not one, but two children. It's funny. It gestates and grows for, like a fucking xenomorph. You know, it's ready to pop. You know, straight away. It only got fucking conceived the day before. You know, but anyway, out comes two. They want a boy, don't they? They get a boy, but they get a girl as well. Oh, who's asked about that? They want the boy. The boy's the Antichrist. It's got to be a bloke, you know. These blokes are all beasts, aren't they? And and they're all like they're all praising, you know, exultant. Yeah, we've got the Antichrist. They're all made up with themselves, like job done. And she begs, you know, I want to see my son. And like Cardinal Lawrence, Bill Nye brings it over. There you go. And she has managed to get herself a scalpel. Hey, yeah, good girl, come on now. and she fucking gets Bill Nighy in the throat. He's like, and then she goes to kill the kid, but they manage to get the kid off her. Oh, that sequence though reminded me of the great Alfred Souls movie Alice, Sweet Alice, aka Communion. That had a bit of trouble in the UK censor video nasty wise. It was never banned, but it did get seized a lot of times. There's a great butcher knife through a priest, almost the exact same sort of stylish imagery, and gurgling, blood coughing, vomiting, gore stuff. But yeah, so she's gonna kill the kid, but they get the kid off. Oh fuck! But Carlita, remember Carlita, the troubled girl, does all the drawings, that knew all this was gonna happen, manages to get in there and get her away. And Sylvia, Sister Sylvia, Sonia Braga, was like, burn the place, burn it. So they set fire to the place, hoping to kill everybody, all the witnesses. Margaret, our heroine, Carlita, and the girl baby. But they do manage to get away. Now, as they're retreating from this, Margaret does see in the flames a demonic jackal. A demonic jackal, yeah. Kind of writhing on fire. Is the devil going to worry about a bit of fucking fire and brimstone? That's his home. You know, what you call hell, he calls home. That's exactly what he lives in. For God's sake. So he should be like, maybe he is like, hey, doesn't hurt me at all, loving it. Turn it up a little bit, you know. Right, so they got away. Brilliant. The film then goes into the meeting Gregory Peck and handing the baby to Ambassador Thorne. Well, you don't see the handing over, but you see them driving up to the hospital where their son has been murdered. And they give the surrogates, unbeknownst to Lee Remick, who plays Ambassador Thorne's wife, and Kathy. So that, and you see them they're in the car, like Ambassador Robert Thorne, American ambassador. Yes, he's just about to go into labour, but it's a bit of, I thought that, we'll go on to this. I really, let's just get the fucking plot out the way. So you know where that's going. That's going there. And Goldsmith's Alvey Satani it played over some of the bear sequence as well, if I remember rightly. And but then we cut away to several years later, and in a scene which reminded me of, sadly, of Spectre. Yeah, when Bond goes to find out in the fjords in an isolated shack, he finds Mr. White there, and Father Brennan finds this in a snowbound, blizzardy cottage in the middle of nowhere. Knocks on the door, fucking shotgun meets him, and it's Margaret, it's Carlita, and it's the baby girl who's grown a little bit now, and he says to her, and then get the fuck away, you know, and he says, look, no, I mean you no harm, but I want you to know that they know you're alive and they'll be coming for you. Right. Film then ends. Right. That ending there. This is a prequel. You're going to get it. Well, if this film's successful, it's early doors, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. It's getting good critical response, to be perfectly honest. But that doesn't mean money's coming in. And only if money comes in do you get another movie. What the hell is this about? So the film didn't end with Robert Thorne. It ends years later when presumably Damien is the age of Damien in The Omen, because the girl's grown up a little bit and he's there, and the three girls are together, the three women survivors living a life of survival, hidden away, and he's now saying, but they're coming for you. So this film joins The Omen, but it's also given itself a little sideways slant, a little tangent that it could go off on, maybe parallel sequels. So you could have, The Omen, there'll be a film about them concurrently with The Omen. Then you might get one with Damien Omen too. Then you might get one with, no, I don't know. Because if these girls have to die, well, I presume they have to die. Because, otherwise, It doesn't. They don't exist in the other movies. There's someone missed out from this. There's Buchenhagen, the archaeologist, the scholar, the guy that the daggers of Megiddo, the things that can kill. Father Brennan knows about this and tells Robert Thorne, go to the old city of Jezreel, see Buchenhagen, learn about the daggers of Megiddo, all this crap like. So Father Brennan knows all this stuff in The Omen, which the end of this movie is the same time as The Omen, the film proper, not the beginning of it. So if you're going to go off on a tangent, you're going to have to bring in the daggers of Megiddo, the face on the mosaic, which looks like Damien, and you're going to have to bring in I keep calling it Father Buchenhagen, Buchenhagen, and his story. And you can see where they're going with this. They want to do this. They're doing the thing which happens to every fucking franchise now. We've got to go back, we go forward, we do alternate, and we give backstories, origins to all these peripheral characters, and they're going to tell their stories. Oh, and before long you're like, oh Jesus, it's the Omen universe, the Omenverse. Oh, for the love of, I keep saying this, for the love of God. Right, okay, look folks, I massively enjoyed this movie. I did. Visually, the cinematography by Aaron Morton is outstanding. There's a very 70s aesthetic to it. It looks like a film from the 70s. It's grainy. The colour palette is kind of washed out, very brown, very a lot of yellow. But gorgeous to behold. The 1:85:1 ratio, which is quite unusual for films these days. They're usually a lot more widescreen, obviously. And look at Immaculate, which came out, very similar sort of movie, Immaculate. You get two nuns in hell movies come out at the same fucking time, basically. It's all about births as well. But that was like 1 to 200, and so that's quite a wide movie. So you're looking like that across it. I mean, I know I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it was refreshing to watch a film like this, where you literally were sitting there and you weren't having to, do all this, and you're just soaking in. The film, a lot of it has faces in close-up. Yeah, I know, like Oppenheimer in IMAX, it was just fucking faces, 20 miles high, faces. But this is like that. But it's great, because a lot of it is expressions. There's a lot of inner acting taking place. You're seeing it through the eyes, you're seeing it through minute facial expressions. What's her name? Nell Tiger-Free is outstanding. She's really, really good. You believe what she's going through. You believe her performance. Sonia Braga as Sister Sylvia. There was weird moments during that final birth sequence. I thought, oh my God, it's Mrs. Baylock. Is there? It's the Billy Whitelaw character, Mrs. Baylock. She's part of it there already, but it wasn't. It was Sonia Braga had taken the nun's habit off, and her hair was just cascading down. But for a second, I thought it weren't. If there is a reference to Mrs. Baylock, there might be. I might have missed it. I do not know. I might have missed it if it's there. But I thought that was it, but it wasn't. Ralph Ineson is great. I didn't buy. He's got a very, very gruff northern accent, and but his Irish weren't so hot. I didn't think, but it was a performance of conviction, and yeah. But he's also one of the big problems. His character's the huge fucking problem. So, and the music works. I was going on. Is it gone very dark? Clouds are back, or is someone else getting involved? Who knows? The score, Mark Colvin's score. I played it for you yesterday. You're hearing it now. It's an intense, powerful, disquieting, very atonal treatment. Nothing melodic, nothing leitmotific. There's no themes there. It is powerful, bizarre, liturgical, full of Latin and Gregorian chanting, screaming, warbling, shrieking, whispering, mumbling, and I love it. But in the film itself, it doesn't play that much of a part. It's all there, but it's not in your face. It's not in your ears. there's a great sound design to this. Lots of creaking floorboards and doors and things like that, and and impacts vehicles and just shock, jumpy bits. But the score, I was expecting it to be really roaring, and it just didn't do that. And I was listening out for it as well. But I still loved it, but it is nicely placed in the movie. The movie's 2 hours long, just shy of 2 hours. But it feels like 2 hours, but in the best possible way. It's not slow and turgid and sluggish. It's not it's not languid. There's stuff happening all the time, and I was happily buoyed along throughout most of it. But let's get on to the shit stuff, and the shit stuff is excruciatingly bad, and sadly it's fundamental, it's thematic, it is the story of this movie and why this movie cannot work or fit in to what follows, and could have been so easily rectified. I need some of this. There's the Corinx, the ancient warlord instruments to drive troops into battle. It's a bizarre horn. My good mate Daniel Schrager did an interview with the composer for this, Mark Corbin, and he said it was all about strings, basically strings, and of course the vocal elements. But he said a lot of the brass that's in there, he said I sampled it. So I'm not sure if that horn itself there, the Corinx, is actually genuinely used, or whether that's a sample as well. I don't know. I just don't know. I'd like to think there was someone there on the soundstage. This thing, it goes up about 10 feet vertically. Cheers, John. Here it is again. Right, okay. Let's look at the reason why they're bringing the Antichrist into the world. The church, for a long time, has believed that people are turning away from God and faith because they just don't care. They've got nothing to fear anymore. So we've got to bring something in to make them fear again. So we're asked to believe that the church, the Catholic Church, the Pope, the cardinals and all that stuff, the Vatican, been fighting against evil, are going to side with the devil. They're going to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight and get it on and bring forth the Antichrist, to put him in the world, to drive people back, to be afraid. But you've put the beast on air. You're going to bring the enemy to life. Are you fucking kidding me? That's going to work. And as we can see, it didn't fucking work. Look at the Omen. Look at Damien Omen 2. Look at the final conflict. Anyone who opposes Damien gets killed. The rest of the world doesn't even fucking know he exists. So that backfired, didn't it? It didn't backfire because that wasn't the fucking plan at all. Folks, whatever you take from the original Omen movie and the genesis that it gives for Damien and the Antichrist being on Earth, you'd be wrong to assume that it wasn't the devil that was manipulating priests and the monkdom and subverting them. They're turning to the dark side, for a lack of a better phrase, and it's the devil working with them. It's not them bringing the devil into it, because that's just stupid and ludicrous. What happened there? I mean, imagine it. The Pope sitting there it's just not working, is it? Everybody's driven away in droves. Maybe. What? Oh, you've got Lucifer on line 666. Louis, baby. Yes, it's the Pope. Yes. Listen, Louis. We got to stop the fighting. We've been like this for centuries, and it's getting us nowhere. I tell you what, you come over to my place. I cook you big meal. Yeah, we have a nice bottle of Chianti. Oh, okay. Cognac. All right. And we get our heads together. Just keep your horns out of my face. And I think what might work for you may work for me, and make it all come out of this quite happy together. What? Oh yeah, yes, you can bring the jackal this time. Yes, I think we can make sweet babies together. Yes, thank you. Ciao, Louis, baby. Ciao, Louis. Kiltman, did you rehearse that little sequence there? Hey. Really? So the church thinks, and how did he do it? How did he get in touch with the devil? Oh, look. You know, how did he get all this fucking scriptures and all this gospel fucking revelation and stuff and work it all out? Bullshit. Jackal shit, in fact. It's complete and utter ludicrous stupidity. The church wants to bring people back into the faith by bringing, but the only way to do it is to bring the Antichrist onto earth, which no one fucking believes in and gives a shit about. That's just stupid. I have paced up and down before doing this video, trying to work out how I was going to approach this absolute fundamental screw up in writing. Now, I've been praising Acacia Stevenson for directing this. She co-wrote this as well with Tim Smith and Keith Thomas from a story by Ben Jacoby. You guys, did you watch The Omen? Well, you didn't, clearly, because you also have Father Brennan in this as a good guy. Idiots! Idiot! He's not a good guy. In The Omen, he has repented, he's realised, and he's terrified of what he's helped unleash upon the world. So he seeks out Robert Thorne to tell him, you've got to accept Christ into your life. You bring God into life. Eat the body of Christ, drink the blood of Christ. You've got to accept him. Your son. What about my son? Your son is the Antichrist. And he's trying to tell him. He's trying to warn him. He's a recluse. He's got crucifixes everywhere. He's got scripture everywhere, all over the walls. He will be killed because he knows too much. But he was there at the birth of Damien. He tells Robert Thorne this. In this film, he's not there. In this film, he's already warning the girl that's going to birth Damien. So he's a good guy. He's trying to help her. What? He was never a good guy. It's only in The Omen that he realises and he repents and he's trying to save his own soul. He fucking says this. And to go alongside that, who's the mother of Damien? The mother of Damien is... what? Brackle. A jackal. It's a fucking jackal. You dickheads. It's not a woman. It's a jackal. Now, before we go, they're just retconning things. Maybe they got it wrong and it really was a woman. No, it wasn't. Father Brennan, who was present at the birth, who says so in The Omen, tells Robert Thorne, he gets into the embassy and he gets a meeting. The first meeting he only has 2 meetings with Robert Thorne in the movie, both of which are brilliant. The second one culminates in his own death, obviously, but in the Killer Storm. And he comes in there, and obviously Robert Thorne thinks it's just like a charity thing. Oh, it's like, you must accept Christ into your life. He's like, well, Father, why? What's wrong? Your son. What about my son? And you get this great discussion here. Of course, Gregory Peck is brilliant. Patrick Troughton is even brillianter. And he says, I was there at the birth of your son, at the birth of Damien. And he's like, and I saw its mother. And he's like, you mean my wife? And he's like, no, I saw its mother. You mean my wife? No, its real mother. And he's like, are you trying to blackmail me? Because of course, Robert Thorne knows that, no one else knows, but this is not my son. This is another one, brought in. My son died. But how do you know this? You're trying to blackmail me. No, I'm trying to save you and all this. But I saw its mother. And then he's already called for security, Robert Thorne. But priest has locked the door. He's told him, I've locked the door, so you've got to listen to me, basically. This is important. I'm saving your life, and the world. And he goes, and it's superb. He goes, no, its mother was a Jack. And as he says, Jack, the fucking door bursts open. And a US Marines guard all embassies. And Bruce Marine comes in like, he doesn't say Jack, he said, its mother was a Jack. What? A jack-o'-lantern? A jack of all trades? It's absolutely brilliant. It reminds me of, oh God, Blazing Saddles. Remember Blazing Saddles? The new sheriff is black. And of course, being a frontier town, they ain't too pleased about that, are they? And he's riding into town, like, and you got the big gruff bastard, the big frontier beard on him, like, and he's going like, the sheriff is a and he said he goes, the church bell goes, bong, the sheriff is a bong, and they're going, what? Oh, the sheriff is near. No, god damn it, the sheriff is a bong. Its mother was a jabong. A jive ass motherfucker, It's genius. But the point is, the mother was a jackal. They go into that old Etruscan cemetery. They break open the grave of his real son with a hole in its skull. They break open the grave of its mother, and there's the skeleton of a jackal, Sam Neill, in the final conflict, taunts Christ on the cross and says, my mother was he says it, my mother was a jackal. Father Brennan was there at the birth. Father Brennan was also part of the conspiracy. He was one of the dark priests that got involved. He wasn't a good guy. Where the fuck did you get that from? Why did you change that? Why did you change? You've got a jackal in this. The jackal is now the father. The devil takes the form of a jackal and shags Margaret. Why? Why not keep it the way it was? She could have been investigating all this, and because of her uncovering it, then she's in jeopardy, obviously. But you could have had animatronics and all sorts of very... oh, I'm not kidding. It would be hugely disturbing. And you'd have to run a very sort of a tightrope to keep from being really ludicrously comical at the same time. Having a jackal birthing a baby boy. But it could have been done. It could have been done. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You fucked it up there. And because of that, this film does not fit with The Omen, or Damien Omen 2, or The Final Conflict. So how can you call yourself a true prequel? You did everything else right. Tonally, it's fantastic. Emotively, it's there. Period setting, brilliantly evocative. Score, outstanding. It's not Goldsmith, but the film is its own beast. But even being its own beast, it should tie in. Your whole modus, your whole premise, your whole point of existence is to tie this movie in to the original trilogy, which you've not done. You've not done it. Father Brennan is now a good guy. Are you fucking for real? The church did this to bring people back to the flock by bringing the arch enemy onto air. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. And you change the fundamental thing. His mother is no longer a jackal, but his daddy is. Seriously. These are very damaging points. He said, pointing. Now, and with that all being said, I still had a great time with this film. I am not going to deny it. I actually really enjoyed it. I was enthralled, excited, thrilled. I wouldn't say scared, but I felt a brooding sense of doom and ominousness, which is what you want. And I really did have a good time with it. I enjoyed it. And all these errors, for that is what they are, I did notice, but I was able to get away with it at the time because of the atmosphere, and I was enjoying it so much. But then, and I can't wait, if I'd done the video, I would have probably have mentioned that it's got some errors, but they're surpassable. You can easily overlook them. Well, I've slept on it, and you can't overlook them. I cannot overlook them at all. They are serious, they are fundamental, and they are extreme. You may think otherwise, and you'd be wrong. Because if you love The Omen, then I'm afraid this film doesn't fit. It does not. It doesn't gel. It doesn't mesh at all. I'm going to say it again. Father Brennan was not a good guy during the arrival of Damien. He was part and parcel of it. He then realised and turned against, realised what he'd done, and spends the rest of his limited life repenting and trying to make amends and trying to do the right thing. Because he got guilt over this. He was there. He was part of this conspiracy. And that conspiracy, are you really telling me that the Catholic Church is going to bring the devil's son onto earth just to bring people back? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And the church, by and large, is a ridiculous institution. But I'm the one for rattling the rosaries. But I don't think the church is that fucking stupid to court the devil. Come on. Don't be stupid. And what do you think? Oh, the whole Jackal business. Oh, fucking hell. It's Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde. Why did you do that? I've not mentioned anything to do with the feminist angle, and I'm not going to do it because he says, having just now mentioned it, but you are going to get people saying, oh, it's a feminist movie made by a female director and it's all about females. Of course it is. It's about the birth, you know. Even the Jackal must have been female, let's be honest. So, not in this film, obviously, but it's a very female perspective from this point of view. From this, the origin story would have to be a very feminine sort of story. So that absolutely no problem with that. And it's nuns and an orphanage full of mainly girls. In fact, are there any boys in it at all? I'm not even sure now. I think they're all girls. But so there's no issue. There's no wokeisms there. But people are going to say that. However, to have made the woman the actual mother of, and a human mother of Damien, is a twist which isn't in the original and shouldn't be here. So you've got to ask yourself, why has that been done? Is it because the studios have worked on Arcadia Stevenson? I'm quite willing to believe that could be the case. I've got no evidence. Either way. But I think she did a really good job of making this movie and being disturbing, being very serious, totally evoking a wonderful depiction of Rome. Lots of drone shots and high shots of cities and citadels and the Vatican City and all these old buildings. It does look wonderful, but it's not. We're not on a travelogue. It's not a sightseeing tour. They're not going to these places just to, you know, oh look, we can film here as well. No, it's all within. It's mise en scene and it's in situ and it's in character. So it all works on those combined fronts. But I cannot surmount these really, really fundamental errors, and they are extreme, because these are things which have shaped the trilogy, which you are basing your movie on and trying to sledgehammer in. Well, you're not going to make it fit. It's not going to work. I won't be the only one that's going to really, really pour scorn on those elements. I hope I'm not, anyway, because if I am, Christ, the biblical rhetoric, there's no end to it, is there? You know, because if you manage to get this past every critic and every other fan of the original, then these people are not fans of the original, because that's not the story. That's not how it happened. That's not what it was about. These are dark priests who've been corrupted by the devil. They're not thinking, oh no, we've got to get a master plan together to get people back to church, get their arses on our pews and listen to our sermony mass bullshit. We've got to get them back. And the only way we can do it is by bringing the arch enemy onto Earth. The devil would be like, what? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, and I get a shag out of it as well. Oh, result. Double whammy. And I'm going to kick your asses. It is just beyond belief how stupid that turned out to be. So do I recommend the film? Ironically, yes I do. Because it's got a great story of its own. And it's got a great atmosphere. It's tremendously evocative, emotional and powerful. And creepy as all hell. There's a lot of, there's several jump scares, which, you know the genre, then they're not going to make you jump. I didn't jump once. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't tend to jump at movies these days because I've been around for fucking half a century, slightly more. I know these movies inside out, and I can see these things coming. Nothing new comes down the celluloid road these days. It just doesn't happen. I long for it to come and surprise me, but it just ain't happening so far. But I don't mind the jump scares. The crowd will love that sort of the crowd. I saw it with 3 other people. But people will love that sort of thing. It will. There's a few obvious ones, but I don't mind them being there. You got to pander to the the masses and the multiplexes. So I don't know where I'm going to go with the rest of this because I've said it now. I've said my piece. I paced up and down so much. And in a way, that's good, isn't it? I suppose that's good. Because it's got me thinking. I've gone through the film again in my head, and I've gone through it here. I didn't intend to do that, but I think I've done pretty well. I've probably got a couple of things, sort of arse about face sort of thing, but in continuity, but whatever. But if you've watched this video, that means you should have seen the film as well. So I need to know what you think. So please do comment below, let me know. And if you're okay with their alterations, then fine, hey, fine. But, that's wrong. And this could have been filmed, this could have been done, adhering to the things that we know from the original, adhering to them, but still telling the same story here, pretty much. But why go and change? Why change things for the sake of changing it? Really? His mother is a jackal. Father Brennan was a twat and was part of a gang of twats doing all this. And the church would not do that. No matter how stupid the church has been, how abusive the church has been, how demanding of our money the church has been, they're not going to stoop that low. Not going to do it. Folks, I'm going to finish this whiskey with a couple of good slugs. I'm sure Father Brennan would totally agree, although this is Scotch, not the Irish. Ralph Ineson gives a good performance, he does. But once you realise that it's the wrong, it's a good performance, but the character's completely wrong. That's not the character that Patrick Troughton played. It's almost like they've done, but he's a good guy in The Omen, so he's got to be a good guy here. As I said before, Arcadia Stevenson and the other writers haven't watched The Omen. They can't have done, because you wouldn't have made that error. You'd know. He was part of it. It's only his conscience has got the better of him, which makes him such a great character. So magnetic, so believable. He's so committed. Troughton. Oh, it's such a mesmerising performance. And he's not in the film for much, but the impact that he leaves is devastating. And they go and completely subvert that and make him a wishy-washy good boy. The world. It's gone topsy-turvy. Again, like Quint and his mate, who turns upside down, bobs up and down like a can of top. Upended. Really bitten in half below the waist. I'll never go to confession again. I'm paraphrasing, of course, and bringing a religious aspect into it. So, folks, you haven't seen it, and you watch this, you don't fucking need to, do you? I've told you everything about it now. And I've told you what they should have done. Right, I'm out of here. So, glug glug. Cheers, y'all. Nighty night. God bless. And as Dave Allen used to say, may your gods go with you. Or your devils. You've got the angel on one side, the devil on the other. Folks, I have been always happy Celtman. Please, in the meantime, it's ever liturgical, Gregorian, ecclesiastical, and satanic in between time. Please keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. The devil has the best time, doesn't he? Let's be honest. God's boring.